Of the Holy Quran, from the Holy Quran, first by Sayyid Hussain Jaffry, followed by Sayyid Muhammad Jaffry. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى. ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنحر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The ayahs that will be recited will be from Surah Al-Baqarah, ayahs 247 to 252. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وقال لهم نبيهم إن الله قد بعث لكم طالوت ملكا قالوا أنى يكون له الملك علينا ونحن أحق بالملك منه ولم يؤت سعة من المال قال إن الله اصطفاه عليكم وزاده بسطة في العلم والجسم
والله يؤتي ملكه من يشاء والله واسع عليم. وقال لهم نبيهم إن آية ملكه أن يأتيكم التابوت فيه سكينة من ربكم وبقية مما ترك آل موسى وآل هارون تحمله الملائكة إن في ذلك لآية لكم إن كنتم مؤمنين. فلما فصل طالوت بالجنود قال إن الله مبتليكم بنهر فمن شرب منه فليس مني ومن لم يطعمه فإنه مني إلا من اغترف غرفة بيده فشربوا منه إلا قليلا منهم فلما جاوزه هو والذين آمنوا معه قالوا لا طاقة لنا اليوم بجالوت وجنوده قال الذين يظنون أنهم ملاقو الله قال الذين يظنون أنهم ملاقو الله كم من فئة قليلة غلبت فئة كثيرة بإذن الله والله مع الصابرين. ولما برزوا لجالوت وجنوده قالوا ربنا أفرغ علينا صبرا قالوا ربنا أفرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين فهزموهم بإذن الله وقتل داود جالوت وآتاه الله الملك والحكمة وعلمه مما يشاء ولولا دفع الله الناس بعضهم ببعض لفسدت الأرض ولولا دفع الله الناس بعضهم ببعض لفسدت الأرض ولكن الله ذو فضل على العالمين تلك آيات الله نتلوها عليك بالحق وإنك لمن المرسلين صدق الله العلي العظيم
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد صل على محمد وآل محمد Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Beneficent. Their Prophet said to them, Allah has appointed Talut as king for you. They said, how can he have kingship over us when we have a greater right to kingship than him, as he has not been given ample wealth? He said, indeed, Allah has chosen him over you and enhanced him vastly in knowledge and physique. And Allah gives His kingdom to whomever He wishes, and Allah is all-bounteous, all-knowing. Their Prophet said to them, indeed the sign of His kingship shall be that the ark will come to you, bearing tranquility from your Lord, and the relics left behind by the house of Musa and the house of Harun, borne by the angels. There is indeed a sign in that for you, should you be faithful. As Talut set out with the troops, he said, Allah will test you with a stream. Anyone who drinks from it will not belong to me, but those who do not drink from it will belong to me, bearing someone who draws a scoop with his hand. But they drank from it, all except few of them. So when he crossed it along with the faithful who were with him, they said, we have no strength today against Jalut and his troops. Those who were certain that they would encounter Allah said, How many a small party has overcome a larger party by Allah's will, and Allah is with the patient. So when they marched out for encounter with Jalut and his troops, they said, O Allah, pour patience upon us, make our feet steady and assist us against the faithful lot. Thus they routed them with Allah's will, and Dawood killed Jalut, and Allah gave him kingdom and wisdom, and taught him whatever he liked. Were it not for Allah's repelling the people by means of one another, the earth would surely have been corrupted, but Allah is gracious to the world's people. These are the signs of Allah which we recite for you in truth, and you are indeed one of the apostles. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Mu'mineen and Mu'minat, we will recite a supplication before you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, connecting us to Muharram and also to Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And please recite with us. Ya Rahim, Ya Kareem, Ya Alim, Ya Hakeem, Ya Halim, Ya Azim. Ya Rahim, Ya Kareem, Ya Alim, Ya Hakeem, Ya Halim, Ya Azim. O the one who is unique, 'tis your nearness that we seek every day of every week.
O the one who is unique, 'tis your nearness that we seek every day of every week.
In this month of Muharram-1445, as we mourn our Imam, O the merciful Rahim, Ya Rahim, O Ya Kareem, Ya Alim, O Ya Hakeem, Ya Halim, O Ya Azim. Please everybody recite together. Ya Rahim, O Ya Kareem, Ya Alim, O Ya Hakeem, Ya Halim, O Ya Azim. As we give the poor their due, through our actions we renew our promise unto you.
As we give the poor their due, through our actions we renew our promise unto you.
Our guide is the Imam. May you protect him from harm. O the generous Ya Kareem, Ya Rahim, O Ya Kareem, Ya Alim, O Ya Hakeem. Everyone, Ya Halim, O Ya Azim. What we keep and what we throw, when we stop and where we go, who is friend and who is foe?
What we keep and what we throw, when we stop and where we go, who is friend and who is foe?
We surrender unto thee what we hear and what we see. O the all-knowing Alim, Ya Rahim, O Ya Kareem, Ya Alim, O Ya Hakeem, Ya Halim, O Ya Azim. May our conscience never quake, our commitment never shake, till the final breath we take.
May our conscience never quake, our commitment never shake, till the final breath we take.
In your service we remain, in our solace, in our pain. O the wise Al-Hakim, Ya Rahim, O Ya Kareem. Everyone, Ya Alim, O Ya Hakeem, Ya Halim, O Ya Azim. Our Sawm, our Salat, our Hajj, our Zakat, our Maut, our Hayat.
Our Sawm, our Salat, our Hajj, our Zakat, our Maut, our Hayat.
May you nurture our faith through the holy Ahl Bayt. O the forbearing Halim, Ya Rahim, O Ya Kareem. Everyone, Ya Halim, O Ya Hakeem, Ya Halim, O Ya Azim. Our Prophet Mustafa, our Mawla Murtada, our Lady Fatima.
Our Prophet Mustafa, our Mawla Murtada, our Lady Fatima.
To their holy progeny, tie our love and loyalty. O the Supreme Yahweh, to their holy progeny, tie our love and loyalty. O the Supreme Yahweh, Ya Rahim, O Ya Kareem, Ya Alim, O Ya Hakeem, Ya Halim, O Ya Azim, Ya Halim, O Ya Azim. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Mu'mineen, before we ask Moulana Aqib Jaffry to come and recite the Majlis for today, just a couple of announcements. The first is that we have seen some distraction from cell phones in the last 2-3 days. It was pretty good earlier, but please do turn your cell phones on silent. And also, if there are some mothers with young children who are not at peace, and there is a chance that they might disturb the Majlis, we would suggest that they could perhaps go outside. There are fans available for a little while, and then when the child is peaceful, they can come back in again for the greater good of the audience. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I will now request Hujjatul Islam Moulana Syed Ali Aqib Jaffry to come and recite the 8th Majlis in this series of 9 Majalis on the topic of Karbala, the ultimate trial. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
For the marhumeen of the sponsors of today's majlis, especially Ghulam Abbas and Rafia Sultana, Naeem Muzaffar Habib and Ismat Malik, Suratul Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم النبيين سيدنا ونبينا وشفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب قلوبنا وبالقاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الغر الميامين المعصومين من يومنا هذا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وخطابه المتين وهو أصدق القائلين وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون. صلوات. صل على محمد وآل محمد. Do people think that they will be left alone because they have said we have believed while they have not been tested yet? One of the sunnahs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that He is going to test all of us. And He has created different tools to test us. One of the most important tests that we all have to go through is the test of preferring akhirah over our dunya. We will be at crossroads often in our lives where you will be presented with two affairs, the affair of this dunya, the matter of this dunya, versus the matter of akhirah. And it will be your choice that will determine whether you succeed in that exam, in that trial, or you fail. At times you will be offered the choice between living with dignity or living in humiliation. At times you will be offered the choice between life of humiliation or death of dignity. And the decision you make will determine whether you succeed in your test or fail. One of the questions that has come again and again, even in these previous few days, this question has been in your minds based on the feedback that I have received, is how do we balance our deen and our dunya? If deen is important for us, how do we balance our deen with our dunya? The answer is very simple. Do not think of dunya something separate and other than deen. Do not divide your day and your life into different compartments. 5 hours for deen and 20 hours or 19 hours for dunya. Or 12 hours for deen and 12 hours for dunya. This is not the way we should approach this problem. Deen and dunya are not to be separated from each other. I have prayed, I have attended to my rituals, so this is my deen, I have done my part, now I will attend to my dunya. No, this is not the way we are supposed to solve this problem. Your entire 24 hours should be a life fulfilling your religious obligations. Do not limit religious actions to rituals alone. The common mistake we make is that we limit religion or deen to rituals. So when you're praying, when you're fasting, when you're going to Hajj, when you're going to Majlis, this is your religion. And when you're going to work, when you're going to school, then this is your dunya. What Islam wants from us is to align our dunya with the deen. If you align your dunya with the deen, then even going to work is an act of your deen. Eating would be an act of your deen. Sleeping would be an act of your deen. Earning a halal livelihood would be an act of your deen. Then your entire 24 hours will be your deen. You don't have to separate the two. It is the intention with which you earn. You want to earn a livelihood so that you can take care of your family members. This is what your deen wants you to do. So even though it might appear that you are engaging yourself with the dunya, this is an engagement with the deen. A person came to the Holy Prophet and said, Ma salli ala Muhammad wa awli. I'm worried that I am becoming a man of this dunya because I want to make more and more money. The Holy Prophet asked him this question, why do you want to make more money? He said, so that I can help the poor, I can build hospitals and build schools and roads and help the community. The Holy Prophet said, then this is your akhirah, this is not your dunya. So if this is why you want wealth, then you are running after your akhirah, not for your dunya. So do not ask this question, how do I balance my deen and my dunya? The question you should be asking, how am I going to align my dunya with my deen? And if that becomes aligned, then you will become the mistaq of this verse of the Holy Quran. قُلْ إِنَّ الصَّلَاةِ وَالنُّسُكِ وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Say that my prayers and my rituals and my living and my death is for Lillahi Rabbil Alameen. It's for Allah, the Rabb of the Alameen. Yes, if you need to balance anything in your life, those are the actions that you need to perform. There are certain actions that you need to perform to take care of your body, and there are certain actions you need to perform to take care of your spiritual needs. Yes, you need to balance your spiritual needs and your physical needs. That is not balancing deen and dunya. Your physical needs need to be met so that you can spiritually connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is again, if you can align your bodily needs in line with your spiritual needs, again, then whether you are fulfilling your bodily needs or your spiritual needs, you are going closer to Allah and moving in the direction closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our Imam has said regarding balancing your needs. Ijtahidu fi an yakuna zamanukum arba'u sa'at. Strive in that you divide your time into 4 segments. Make an effort to divide your time into 4 segments. Sa'atun li munajatillah. A portion for the munajat and whispering with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sa'atan li amril ma'ash. A segment, a moment of your time, a segment of your time. Li amril ma'ash, for fulfilling your financial needs, your economic activity. Number 3, sa'atan li mu'asharatil ikhwan wa thiqat allazina yu'arrifunakum uyubakum wa yakhlisuna lakum fil batin. A third part of your daily routine should be to engage and socialize with your brothers and those trustworthy friends who inform you of your defects. ऐसे दोस्तों से make friends who inform you of your defects. It is hard to find your own defects. In one of the phrases that the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam advised Amirul Mu'mineen when he said, do you need 60,000 dinars or 60,000 sheep or 60,000 phrases? And he said 60,000 phrases, and he summarized those 60,000 phrases into 6 phrases. One of the phrases is رَأَيْتَ النَّاسِ يَشْتَغِلُونَ بِعَيُوبِ النَّاسِ. When you see people engaging themselves in finding faults in others, you engage yourself in finding faults in your own self. लोग दूसरों के ऐब ढूंढ रहे हो, आप अपने ऐब ढूंढे. Because if you cannot find your own fault, you cannot fix yourself. And your true friend is one who informs you of your uyub. Our 6th Imam has said that my best friend is one who gifts me my uyub, my shortcomings, who gifts me. So if someone has never informed you that there's something wrong with you, he's not your best friend. We all have uyub in us, we all have shortcomings. So one portion of your daily life should be to engage yourself with those individuals who inform you, who are sincere to you, and who inform you of your shortcomings. And there's so many traditions that talk about this. Al-mu'min mir'atun li akhihil mu'min. A mu'min is like a mirror to his brother mu'min. What happens when you stand in front of the mirror? It shows you your true self. It does not add or delete features. It shows you how you are. That is how a mu'min should be with another mu'min. And the purer and the cleaner the mirror is, the better it will present the true picture. If the mirror is tainted or if the mirror has water droplets on it, it is not going to present the true picture. So the purer your mu'min friend is, the better he can present you your true image. Another feature of the mirror is that it does not have memory. You stand in front of the mirror, it shows you yourself, and when you move away and somebody else comes in front of the mirror, it will show that person his aibs. It will not disclose the aib of the previous person to him. So this is also a feature of a mirror. The analogies that the Imams and the Holy Quran has drawn, there is wisdom behind it. Anyway, the third portion that you need to allocate in your days to meeting with friends who inform you of your uyub, of your defects. And the fourth one, which is the final one, was sa'atan takhluna fiha lilizzatikum fi ghayri muharram. You engage yourself in pleasures that are not haram. In simple words, halal fun. You engage yourself in halal fun. Number 1, sa'atan li munajatillah. Number 2, sa'atan li amril ma'ash, whispering to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, earning your livelihood. socializing with friends who inform you of your defects. And number 4, halal fun. The last statement is very important. The hadith says, وَبِهَذِهِ السَّاعَةِ تَقْدِرُونَ عَلَى الثَّلَاثَ سَاعَاتٍ. Through this 4th segment, you will get the energy to fulfill the other 3 segments. If someone is missing halal fun in their lives, if they're not enjoying their lives in a halal manner, they would not be able to do manajat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will not be able to fulfill their economic obligations and their social responsibilities and meeting with friends. So if you need to balance your life, you have to balance it in this manner. But you don't need to strike a balance between deen and dunya. You need to align your deen and dunya with each other. And that is why you see the Imams in one of the stories of our 6th Imam, Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. He was working in the farm in the scorching heat of the sun. A person saw him, he came to him, he said, I should advise him in this heat, he's running after the dunya. So he comes to the Imam and says, you are the son of the Holy Prophet, it does not befit you that you should run after this dunya, whereas your grandfather, look at your father and your grandfather, they exercised zuhud and they lived a simple lifestyle. Why are you running after this dunya? If death was to come to you, what are you going to say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The Imam turned back to him, and I'm summarizing it. It's a long story. The Imam said, if death was to come to me, I will say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I was earning my halal livelihood. What are you going to say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if death comes to you? In another tradition, the Imam pointed out, this person said to him that you are wearing a fine cloth. The Imam said, this upper side is fine, but my inner garment is rough. You have worn a rough garment on the top to show to people, whereas your inner garment is very fine. You are doing riyah. You are deceiving people. So earning a halal livelihood is in line with Islamic teachings. In fact, we have to seek our akhirah through the blessings of this dunya. The Holy Quran itself says, وَاتَّبِعْ فِيمَا آتَاكَ اللَّهُ. Seek in what Allah has provided you. What do you seek? Ad-dar al-akhirah. Seek the dar al-akhirah from what Allah has provided you. وَلَا تَنْسَ نَصِيبَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا. Don't forget your share of this dunya. Do not forget your share of this dunya. It is through this dunya that you are going to earn your akhirah. The way you look at this dunya, the Imam says, Man absara biha basarathu. Whoever uses this dunya to see, it will show him the path. And whoever looks at it, it will blind him. It is like a light. You use this, you look at the sun, it will blind you. You use the sunlight, it will guide you. This is how we need to engage ourselves with dunya. And the exam that we will face is going to get tougher and tougher as we fulfill one exam. The verses that were recited in the beginning of today's session is regarding the tribe of Bani Israel when they were in difficult times and they asked their prophet to appoint a king for them. The Holy Quran starts like this, Surah Al-Baqarah, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Alam tara, have you not seen ilal mala'i min Bani Israel? Have you not seen the elite class of the Bani Israel? Min ba'de Musa, after Musa, when they said to their prophet, Ib'ath lana malikan, appoint a king for us. Nuqatil fi sabilillah, so that we should fight in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They had enemies and they wanted to defend themselves. So coming to the Prophet, asking the Prophet to appoint a king for them so that they can fight in the way of Allah. The Prophet responded, Hal asaytum In kutiba alaykumul qital and la tuqatilu, is it possible, or it is possible that if battle and war becomes wajib on you, you will step back and you will not fight? What you're asking is a test from Allah. Appoint us a king so that we should fight in the way of Allah. The Prophet is warning them, it is possible that you might, or that battle might become, the war might become obligatory on you, and you will step back. They said, قَالُوا وَمَا لَنَا أَنْ لَا نُقَاتِلْ. What is with us? Why would we not fight? فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَقَدْ أُخْرِجْنَا مِنْ دِيَارِنَا وَأَبْنَائِنَا. While we have been driven out of our cities and our sons, we have been exiled from our sons and from our cities. Why would we not fight? There's no reason to not fight. فَلَمَّا كُتِبَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقِتَالِ. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made war obligatory on them, تَوَلَّوْا إِلَّا قَلِيلٍ. A lot of them stepped back, except a very few. This was the trial. They asked a trial from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and when Allah made qital and war obligatory on them, they stepped back. Wallahu alimun bizzalimin. Allah knows who the zalimin are. Through this test, He disclosed who the zalimin were. Allah already knew it. The same happens with us. We are praying for our 12th Imam to come. Salli ala Muhammad wa awli Muhammad. We want to be on his side. Salli ala Muhammad wa awli. His reappearance is going to be a test for all of us. The Jews who had settled in Medina, they had read in their holy scriptures that in the final days, a prophet is going to come from this part of the world. That is why they had migrated and settled in Medina, waiting for the final prophet to appear. And there were two other tribes, Aus and Khazraj, that were there in Medina, and they would fight with each other. They were idol worshippers, they were uncivilized, and they would fight with each other. And this group, these Jews who controlled the economy of Medina, they would say to them that when our prophet will come and we will believe in him, we are going to fight you and end you and finish you. That is what they used to say. But when the prophet came, the Aus and Khazraj were the first amongst Medina to believe in the Holy Prophet. And the Jews who were waiting, they did not expect the Holy Prophet to come from the tribe of Quraysh. They were not expecting that. They were not expecting the Holy Prophet to be a yatim, an orphan. They expected the Holy Prophet to be from within themselves. And therefore, they did not accept the prophethood of the Holy Prophet. They failed that test. Sometimes when we are torn between culture and religion, we want religion to be in line with our culture and not the other way around. We have to align our cultures with our religion. Only then we will succeed. Because societies cannot function without a culture. And sometimes culture becomes our religion. When culture becomes our religion, we are setting ourselves up for another Karbala. We need to make religion our culture. So when they asked, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives an additional detail. وَقَالَ لَهُمْ نَبِيُّهُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ بَعَثَ لَكُمْ طَالُوتَ مَلِكًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has appointed Talut as a king over you. قَالُوا, they said, أَنَّا يَكُونُ لَهُ الْمُلْكُ عَلَيْنَا. How can he be a king over us? وَنَحْنُ أَحَقُّ بِالْمُلْكِ. While we are more deserving of kingdom than him. وَلَمْ يُؤْتَ سَعَةً مِنَ الْمَالِ. While he has not been blessed with wealth. He doesn't have wealth. How can he qualify to be the king? That was their culture. They expected, they wanted their king to come from a rich, wealthy family. And that was stopping them from submitting to this test of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Holy Prophet responded to them, إِنَّ اللَّهَ اسْتَفَاهُ عَلَيْكُمْ Allah has chosen him over you. وَزَادَهُ بَسْطَةً فِي الْعِلْمِ, and has given him abundance of wealth, وَالْجِسْم, and physical power. He has these two features, ilm and physical power, and both are needed for governance. They need to go in the battlefield. He needs to have physical power, and needs to have ilm so that he can take the right decisions. وَاللَّهُ يُؤْتِي مُلْكَهُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ, and Allah gives his kingdom to whoever he wishes. وَاللَّهُ وَاسِعٌ alim, and Allah is wasi' and alim. So when they asked for a king, Allah gave them a king. That was the first level of test. I said in the beginning, there are going to be tests one after the other. This was the first test that their nation was subjected to. A lot of them rejected. They did not accept Talut as the king. They failed. And then they were divided into two groups, the Zalimeen and those who accepted. Those who accepted were then yet subjected to another test. The test goes on, it does not end. Allah is going to keep filtering people. So the Holy Prophet said to them that the sign of his kingdom is that there is going to be a tabut that will come, and within that tabut would be the remains of the family of Harun and Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, and the angels would be carrying it, and so on. And then when that group who had believed, Talut took them out on a journey. فَلَمَّا فَصَلَ طَالُوتُ بِالْجُنُودِ, when he took his army to fight, then he said another statement, قَالَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مُبْتَلِيكُمْ بِنَحْرٍ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to test you with a nahar, with a lake, with a river. فَمَنْ شَرِبَ مِنْهُ فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي, whoever drinks from it is not going to be from me. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَطْعَمْهُ فَإِنَّهُ مِنِّي, and whoever does not taste from it is going to be from me. إِلَّا مَنِ اغْتَرَفَ غُرْفَةً بِيَدِهِ, except whoever takes a scoop from his hand, whoever drinks a handful. That is allowed. If you don't drink, you're from me. If you drink, you're not from me. This was the second level of test that they had to go through. The first level of test they failed because they had their own conceptions of who the king should be. They valued wealth over knowledge. So let me ask you this question: is wealth better or knowledge? Knowledge, obviously. But there is a second level question. Who is better, a person who is seeking knowledge or a person who is seeking wealth? Person who is seeking knowledge. Now let me read this beautiful hadith. Imam says, Manhuman la yashba'an. There are two hungry people, though aise bhuke hain, who will never be satiated. La yashba'an. They will never be satiated. Talibud dunya wa talibu ilm. One who wants the dunya and one who wants ilm. And obviously we would say that talib ilm is better. The Imam says, فَمَنْ اقْتَصَرَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا عَلَى مَا أَحَلَّ اللَّهُ لَهُ salima. Whoever limits himself to what is halal from this dunya, he is safe. وَمَنْ تَنَاوَلَهَا مِنْ غَيْرِ حِلِّهَا, and whoever gets the haram of it, engages himself with the haram, halaka. He is destroyed, except one who repents and returns. وَمَنْ عَلِمَ الْعِلْمِ مِنْ أَهْلِهِ, and whoever takes ilm from his ahl, وَعَمِلَ بِهِ, and acts on it, najah, he is saved. وَمَنْ أَرَادَ بِهِ الدُّنْيَا فَهِيَ حَزُّهُ, and whoever wants dunya through his ilm, that will be his share. So when the question is asked, who is better, the one who is talib dunya or the one who is talib ilm, it depends on why a person is seeking dunya and why a person is seeking ilm. If a person is seeking ilm so that he could establish his superiority over others, and he could debate with others, and he could seek his fame and this dunya through his ilm, he's actually buying a place for himself in the hellfire. And if the talib-e-dunya, talib-e-mal is earning money so that he could get closer and spend it in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and spend the duties and fulfill the duties of Allah through this mal, he is getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when the question is asked, is knowledge better or ilm better or dunya mal better? The answer is obviously knowledge is better. But when it comes to talib-e-dunya and talib-e-mal, then you have to ask this question, ilm क्यों हासिल कर रहा है और दुनिया क्यों हासिल कर रहा है? And without that you cannot answer this question. The intention, the motivation behind it. What is the motivation? A lot of people have this motivation of becoming scholars so that they can boast and become famous and earn a livelihood out of it. If that is the intention behind it, then you are going and following in the footsteps of shaitan. This is the story when the Holy Prophet said this statement, Allahumma salli ala Ana Madinatul Ilm wa Aliyun Babuha. There were a group of companions who sat together and decided to test this statement of the Holy Prophet. Is Imam truly the gate to knowledge? So they decided that they're going to come to the Imam one after the other and ask the same question. Is knowledge better or wealth? And if the Imam responded with the same reason each time, then his knowledge is limited. And if he responds with a different answer each time, then the Holy Prophet has said the truth. So the Holy Prophet was sitting in the Imam was sitting in the mosque and was surrounded by other companions, while a person enters the mosque, he greets the Imam, and he says, I have a question for you. The Imam asked him to ask his question. He said, is knowledge better or wealth? Ilm behtar hai ya mal? He said, ilm is better than wealth, because ilm is what the prophets leave behind, and wealth is what Fir'aun and Haman and Qarun leaves behind. He got his answer, he sat down. After a few minutes, another person comes. He says, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, I have a question. What is better, knowledge or wealth? Imam responded, knowledge is better than wealth, because knowledge protects you while you have to safeguard your wealth. He sat down, another person comes to him. Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, what is better, knowledge or wealth? He says, knowledge is better than wealth, because knowledge stays with you even after your death, while wealth stays with you while you're alive. He got his answer, he sat down. After a while, another person comes in. Ya Amirul Mu'mineen, what is better, knowledge or wealth? He says, knowledge is better than wealth, because those who are knowledgeable, they have more friends, and those who have wealth, they have more enemies. He got his answer, he said, another person comes in, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, what is better, knowledge or wealth? He said, knowledge is better because knowledgeable people are respected, while those who have wealth, they are given the titles of being a miser, and so on. He sits down. Another person comes in. He asks the same question. Imam replies, knowledge is better than wealth because knowledge cannot be stolen, whereas wealth can be stolen. Another person comes in. He responds, knowledge is better than wealth because the more knowledge you spend, it grows. While the more you spend from your wealth, it diminishes. And as they all got their responses, there were others who also came and got the responses. When they all got the responses and they were leaving, they heard the Imam say that if all the people on the face of earth were to come to me with this very same question, I would answer each of them differently than the answer I gave previously. salli ala Muhammad wa ahli Muhammad. I will give each one of them a different response than the one I've given previously. Ana Madinatul Ilm. These are the people who were praised by both their friends and their enemies. Imam Shafi'i was asked about Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wassalam, and he said, what can I say about a person whose virtues were hidden by both their friends and their enemies? He is such a person whose virtues were hidden by his friends and his enemies. His friends hid his virtues out of the fear of their lives, and the enemies hid his virtues out of jealousy, yet his virtues have filled the sky. दुश्मनों ने भी इनके फजाइल को छुपाया, दुश्मनों ने भी, दोस्तों ने भी छुपाया, दोस्तों ने अपनी जान के खौफ से और दुश्मनों ने हसद की वजह से, इसके बावजूद उनके फजाइल ने ज़मीन और आसमान को भर दिया. Even the enemies would say the same thing. In one of the stories, a beautiful carpet was sent to the ruler of Sham. And Amr As was sitting there and he looked at the carpet. He had his eyes on the carpet. So he said to the ruler of Sham, he said, let's have a competition. Whoever says the best verse in the virtue of Amirul Mu'mineen, he gets this carpet. It's a sheron ka muqabila. And he accepted. Muawiyah, he accepted this competition, this challenge. So he went first. He said, Khairul wara min ba'di Ahmad Haydara. The best of mankind after Ahmad is Haydar. An-nasu arzun wa aliyun sama. Log zameen hai aur Ali ka asman. Beautiful share. And it's strange that anyone, whether they love the Ahlul Bayt or they hate the Ahlul Bayt, whenever they say a verse in the fazilat of Ahlul Bayt, it's perfect. There's some blessing, Allah puts some blessing in those words. Immediately, so he said, Khairul wara min ba'di Ahmad Haydara. An-nasu arzun wa aliyun sama. He immediately completed the next verse saying, Hazal lazi shahid al-udu bi fazlihi. This is the person, even the enemy testifies to his fazilat. Wal fazl ma shahidat bihil aada. Fazilat कहते ही उसको हैं जिसका दुश्मन भी इकरार कर ले. And when Muawiyah heard this, he said, the carpet is yours. He used the verse of Muawiyah and used that to establish the superiority of Amirul Mu'mineen. These are the individuals who were blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sent as guides for all of us. Even the friends and enemies both testified to their superiority. Coming back to this story, and we're running out of time. So when Talut left, took his nation, his army, he says, Allah is going to test you with a lake, with a nahr. Whoever drinks from it is not from me. Whoever does not drink from it is from me, except that you have the permission to have a hand scoop. The Quran says, now this is the second test. Those who had passed the first test, فَشَرِبُوا مِنْهُ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Everybody drank from it except a very few. And those who had drank their full were not able to continue their journey. They were left behind. A second level of filtering that took place. And then this group moves on. The Holy Quran says, فَلَمَّا جَاوَزَهُ هُوَ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ. When Talut and those who had believed in him moved forward, قَالُوا, they said, لَا طَاقَةَ لَنَا الْيَوْمِ. We have no power today, بِجَالُوتْ وَجُنُودُهُ. بِجَالُوتْ وَجُنُودِهِ. To fight with Talut with Jalut and his enemy. We are weak, we cannot fight. وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ يَظُنُّونَ أَنَّهُمْ مُلَاقُو اللَّهِ, and those who knew that they are going to meet their Lord, they had strength in them. They said, كَمْ مِنْ فِئَةٍ قَلِيلَةٍ غَلَبَتْ فِئَةً كَثِيرًا. How many times have it happened that a small group has overpowered a huge group? The army divided into two groups. One group said, we have no power to fight. The other said, it has happened so many times that a smaller group has overpowered and overcome a bigger group, bi'iznillah, with the izn of Allah, and Allah is with the sabirin. The tradition has it that the ones who said we have no power to fight were those who had taken a handful of water. And those who had abstained even from a handful, they were the ones who said that Allah is going to provide victory to us. And in tradition has it that this dunya, this world is like that lake. Even if you take the permissible portion of it, it is still going to affect your determination. They were divided into two groups. And the story continues. And they prayed to Allah, and then Allah gave them success. Even taking the rightful share, which is permissible, creates associations and attachments, and it becomes difficult to fulfill our obligations. Karbala being the locus of trial, every trial that you see in the previous ummahs and nations and prophets, stories of the prophets, you will see that in Karbala. On the day of Ashur, we find that there came a point when Imam sees his brother Janabi Abbas standing in front of him, seeking permission to go to the battlefield. Imam tried to stop him by saying, how can I let you enter the battlefield? You are the flag bearer of my army. If you will leave, my army will fall apart. Hazrat Abbas ﷺ cries and says, but where is that army? There is no army left. قَدْ ذَاقَ صَدْرِي مِنْ حَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. मेरा दिल इस दुनिया की जिंदगी से तंग आ गया है. I cannot live in this dunya anymore. Grant me the permission to go and seek revenge from these munafiqeen. The Imam responded, if you want to go to the battlefield, then try to get some water for the children. He takes the water bag with him, he enters the battlefield, addresses the enemy, admonishes them, warns them of their actions, and then he returns back to the Imam to inform the Imam of the discussion that took place. As he was telling the Imam what has happened, he noticed that there are children that have gathered around the camp in which the water bags were placed. They were looking for a few drops of water. Maybe there is a water bag that has a few drops of water left. And they're all crying, Al-Atash, thirst, Bhai Pyas, Al-Atash. Hazrat Abbas ﷺ could not bear this sight and the sounds of Al-Atash coming from these children. So he immediately took the water bag and headed for the river Euphrates. Cutting through the enemy ranks, river Euphrates was guarded by 4,000 soldiers. He would kill anyone who came in his way. He is the son of Ali ﷺ. Historians say that we could not decide who was more braver, Ali Akbar or Janabi Abbas. They both had the blood of Amir al-Mu'mineen in them. Hazrat Abbas ﷺ heads for the battlefield, killing whoever came in his way, until he cut through the ranks of the enemies and entered the water. Apne घोड़े को नहरे फुरात में उतार दिया. He comes down, probably fills the water bag with water waiting for the horse to drink some water. There's a long journey going back, but the horse is not drinking water. So he takes a sip of water in his hands and looks at it. This is what the history narrates. He took water in his hands, looked at the water, and then threw it back in the water. Different people have come up with different reasons why he did that. Some say he wanted the horse. The horse was not drinking water because his master was thirsty. How can I drink water while my master Abbas is thirsty? So he took water from his hands, hoping that the horse would drink some. But Abbas looked at water and was reminded of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. How can I drink water while my master is thirsty? Abbas kaise pani piye? There could be another reason. Inna Allaha mubtalikum bi naharin. Allah is going to test you with a lake. This was again another trial for Hazrat Abbas alayhi salatu wasalam. He was sent to the river, and this was a trial that he had to fulfill. He goes to the river, takes a hand scoop in his water, and informs the world, I am not one of those who's going to take a handful of water. He throws it back. He shows that he is from the Al-Abbasu minna ahlal bayt. He did not drink even a handful of water. And the verses that he recited at that point, informing why he did not drink water, he says, Ya nafsu min ba'dil Hussain huni. Oh my soul, after Hussain there is no point in living. وَبَعَدَهُ لَا كُنْتِ أَن تَكُونِي. It should not happen that Hussain dies and you are still alive. هَذَا حُسَيْنٌ وَارِدُ الْمَنُونِ. This is Hussain who is about to drink from the fountain of death. وَتَشْرَبِينَ بَارِدَ الْمَعِينَ. And my soul, you're about to drink from this cold water? Hayhat ma haza fi'alu dini. No, this is not what my religion tells me. Wala fi'alu sadiqil yaqini. Neither this is the action of someone who has sound faith. He also does not do that. He fills the water bag with water and starts to head back. But this time he takes a different route. He does not come back through the enemy battlefield. He takes a different route. And the enemy tries to stop him, but he cannot be stopped. So what they decide? They decide to hide themselves behind the palm trees, and through deception try to attack him. And that is how they were successful. After a while, one of the enemy soldiers who was hiding behind one of the palm trees, as Hazrat Abbas approached that palm tree, he immediately stepped forward and chopped off the right hand of Hazrat Abbas alayhi salatu wasalam. His right hand was chopped off. He immediately takes the water bag in his left hand and he announces his hand being chopped off in this manner. He says, by Allah, even if you chop off my right, wallahi in qata'tum yamini, well, by Allah, even if you chop off my right hand, I will still defend with full might the son of the Holy Prophet, my Imam, the pure light. And then he moves on, announcing that his right hand has been chopped off. After a few moments, he raises another poetry slogan. He raises another raj to inform the Imam that his left hand has been chopped off. When his left hand was chopped off, he immediately hid the water bag with his chest. He shielded it with his chest and started to gallop towards the camps, wanted the water to reach the camps in whatever way it could. And the enemy started to shower him with arrows from all sides, started to pour in, until a time came that one of the arrows hit the water bag and all of the water drowned on the plains of Karbala. Now Abbas stopped his horse at that time. He did not want to go back to the camps. Why would he go back? Why should he go back? There is no water in the water bag. But what other option does Hazrat Abbas has? He cannot go back to the battlefield because he has no arms to fight and fill the water bag again with water. So standing in the middle of the battlefield, disappointed, one of the enemy soldiers stepped forward. He had an iron rod in his hand and he hit Hazrat Abbas's head with that iron rod. Hazrat Abbas falls on the ground with calling his brother, Ya akhi adrikni, मेरे भाई मेरी मदद को आइए। हजरत अब्बास कॉल्स हिज ब्रदर इमाम, अपने भाई के जनाजे पर आते हैं। एक आंख में तीर चुभा हुआ है, आंखों से खून साफ कर रहे हैं, भाई को तसल्ली दे रहे हैं। जब घोड़े से जमीन पर गिरे हैं, या अखी अदरिकनी कहा है मेरे भाई, ये नहीं कहा या इमाम अदरिकनी। जबकि रवायात में मिलता है कि जब तक जिंदा रहे भाई को भाई कहकर नहीं पुकारा, भाई को इमाम कहकर पुकारते थे। आखिर क्या हो गया कि आखिरी लम्हे भाई को भाई कहकर पुकारा। कुछ उलमा का ख्याल है कि जब घोड़े से सवार गिरा करता है तो अपने हाथों के सहारे गिरा करता है, लेकिन जब मेरे मौला अब्बास गिरे हैं, बाजू कलम हो चुके थे, जनाबे ज़हरा ने अपनी आगोश में लिया होगा ये कहते हुए कि मेरी आगोश में आ जा बेटा, तूने अपने बराई होने का हक अदा कर दिया। जब जनाबे ज़हरा ने जनाबे अब्बास को बेटा कह के पुकार लिया, जनाबे अब्बास ने कहा अब मैं हुसैन को भाई कहकर पुकार सकता हूँ। जब जनाबे ज़हरा ने फर्जंदी में ले लिया तो कहा या अखी अदरिकनी। अला लानतुल्लाहि अलल कौमिज़ ज़ालिमीन। मातम हुसैन।
Shelter of Zainab Abbas, Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas, shelter of Zainab Abbas, Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas. Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas, shelter of Zainab Abbas. Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas, shelter of Zainab Abbas. Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas. Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas, shelter of Zainab. Everyone, Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas, pride of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Lion of al-Banin, pride of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Lion of al-Banin, Lion of al-Banin. Who can be brave as you, Mawla? Who can be brave as you, Mawla? Who can your loyalty surpass? Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas. Everyone.
Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas.
Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas, shelter of Zainab Abbas. You are the Ghazi of Al-Qamar, the ultimate Sultan of Wafa. You are the Ghazi of Al-Qamar, the ultimate Sultan of Wafa, the ultimate Sultan of Wafa. You are the Qamar Bani Hashim. You are the Qamar Bani Hashim. Who can match your strength and class? Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas. Everyone, Ya Abbas, oh Ya. And raise the matam also. Oh Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas. No scholar in history could fathom your mystery. No scholar in history could fathom your mystery. Could fathom your mystery. Firm as iron, soft as snow. Firm as iron, soft as snow. Sher jari qalbi hassas. Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas. Everyone.
Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas.
Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas. Shelter
of Zainab Abbas.
When Abbas Karbala versus all of Ashqiya. When Abbas Karbala
versus all of Ashqiya.
When Abbas Karbala versus all of Ashqiya. When Abbas Karbala
versus all of Ashqiya.
versus all of Ashqiya. Kuja akhi of Imam Zama. Kuja akhi of Imam Zama. Kuja the shar of jinn wan nas. Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas. Everyone, louder. Abbas, Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas, shelter of Zainab Abbas. Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas.
Abbas, oh Ya Abbas.
Said Abbas unto Hussain, with you Mawla till the end. Said Abbas unto Hussain,
with you Mawla till the end.
Said Abbas unto Hussain, with you Mawla till the end. Said Abbas unto Hussain,
with you Mawla till the end.
with you Mawla till the end. In this Laylatul Ashura, in this Laylatul Ashura, Aka, your haqq is clear as glass. Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas. Everyone. Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas,
shelter of Zainab Abbas.
Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas. Sham Ghariba in Karbala, helpless orphans Ashqiya. Sham Ghariba in Karbala, helpless orphans Ashqiya. Sham Ghariba in Karbala, helpless orphans Ashqiya. Sham Ghariba in Karbala,
helpless orphans Ashqiya.
helpless orphans Ashqiya. Where are you, Ammu Ghazi? Where are you, Ammu Ghazi? Cry Sakina, hai pyas. Where are you, Ammu Ghazi? Cry Sakina, hai pyas. Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas. Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas, shelter of Zainab Abbas. Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas. Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas, shelter of Zainab Abbas. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Mu'mineen, Mu'minat, we will have just a 5-minute question and answer session because we do have a little bit of time, inshallah. So maybe 3 questions we can entertain and then we will have ziyarat. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
I'll just answer one of the questions online. How does knowledge stay with the person after death? So when you acquire knowledge, it becomes part of your soul. It is your soul that becomes the possessor of that knowledge. And since soul remains after death, it is transported from this mortal world to a different realm. It takes the knowledge with itself, as opposed to wealth. Wa alaikum assalam.
How do you establish friendships in which your friends would communicate your thoughts with you?
Your friendship has to be based on Islamic principles, and the prime principle is that of taqwa. All friendships based on taqwa, the Holy Quran says, all friendships based on taqwa will continue in the hereafter as well. Whereas all other friendships that are not based on taqwa, they will be abusing each other and they will be pointing fingers at each other because they would have done wrong because of their friends in this dunya, because their friends had asked them for favors that were not just, and in doing so they had oppressed others, and when they will see the wrath, the outcome of their actions, they will be accusing each other and they will be blaming each other. But all friendships based on taqwa, they will continue in that world and they will be beneficial. Last question.
I have a question regarding your praying ceremony to Allah Shwas.
Sure.
In the last sermon, you were telling the story of Asiya. She was rescued through her husband and also the wife of Hazrat Sulaiman. When in Quran, Allah says that good women are for good man and good man are for women. So how do all those stories link on these verse?
Yes, a very good question. One of the holy verses of the Holy Quran says, good women are for good men and good men are for good women. If the opposite is also part of the verse, I'm not sure right now, but good men are for good women and bad women are for bad men. This verse is not to be understood in this manner that good people, good men are going to get good wives and good women are going to get good husbands. No, that is not what this verse means. This verse means that this is what Allah wants from you. When you're marrying off your children, find this is an instruction from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that choose for a pious person, you need to have a pious spouse. This is an obligation on you. So through this verse, Allah is declaring an obligation, a command. Not that this is how things will happen. If the husband is good, the wife is also going to be good. No, we see examples in the Holy Quran which are otherwise. So this is not a statement of it's not a factual statement, it is an instruction, a command of Allah that this is what you should be doing. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.